Mauritson Winery, and we are going to start off talking about the most important wine options in the month of November, because you should be thinking about what you're going to pair your turkey and or ham or whatever meal with wines. Very important. And this will give you enough time to order them, and as a bonus, as you order them, 20% will go back to the Movember charity.
The wines that we have on the table today are so well paired with the Thanksgiving meal. Now, if you happen to cook prime rib for your Thanksgiving, there may be something else you want to do differently, but we're thinking more in terms of turkey, ham, and the normal accoutrement. This is a Rosé of Zinfandel, not to be confused with the White Zin, although we could technically call it White Zin. It is an absolutely stunning rosé.
Yeah.
You know, that 140 gallons per ton goes into a stainless steel tank, and this is where the purity aspect comes in. That is it. There is nothing else done to it. There's no yeast added, there's no oak on it, there's no malolactic. It spends its entire life in that one stainless steel tank, and what's significant about that is it is fermented and aged on its primary lees. And I think that's one of the things that's so unique about this wine, but makes it so great to pair with a meal is, you know, on the nose, you have this vibrancy. You can tell that it's high acid, low alcohol, beautiful fresh fruit. It's almost like an underripe red fruit characteristic. So underripe cranberry, underripe raspberry, underripe strawberry, whatever you smell. But what's amazing is it has a phenomenal texture to it. And that texture comes from all that lees contact. Beyond that, it finishes like you would expect, you know, 12.5% alcohol, 7 grams per liter, no sugar. There's this lean, really vibrant vein to it. But I just love how it's so dynamic with food. Turkey is a lean meat. And so the fact that you have all this acid and this really focused wine could pair really well with that. The flavor profile of rosé is very light. It's not overbearing. And then also the things that kind of go along with the turkey, you know, tend to be more fatty, right? Yes. So let's think about our gravies, let's think about our mashed potatoes, let's think about our stuffings. The acid in this cuts through that beautifully.
Then let's move on to the Chardonnay.
Absolutely. Chardonnay, again, let's think about that notion of texture, right? Is Chardonnay just tends to have more body than Rosé or a Sauvignon Blanc. Chardonnay, I love this Chardonnay. I love Russian River fruit. Chardonnay, you know, it's cool enough in Russian River to allow us to retain acidity. And to me, you can't have a balanced wine if it doesn't have acid. We build texture on this through oak. So not only is it oxidizing through the oak, we have about 10% new oak, and then we end up with about another 10% of 1 and 2 year old barrels. So there still is a little bit of oak flavor being imparted on that. But you have all the lees contact that you had in stainless steel because we don't rack it off of that. And then with a Chardonnay, we actually agitate the lees. And so we're going in and stirring the lees. What that creates is a wine that has phenomenal acid on the finish, but so much texture on the entry. So this to me is more of that parallel, you know, kind of pairing that we look for is something with more texture, nice roundness from all that, you know, malolactic and wonderful oak nuance that is really going to go so perfectly with turkey. And to me, it's like an all-time classic pairing, you know, Chardonnay with turkey. Right. You know, I love the flavor profile that Chardonnay tends to be. Citrus, you know, sometimes to me this has a little bit of a green apple, a little bit of pear, but I like to think of wines in terms of color spectrums, and these are lighter color spectrums, which turkey's a white meat, so it just kind of works.
Yeah, I love this.
Great, and so we want to strike that mid-balance where you actually taste the Chardonnay fruit, but the oak is complementary to it.
Right.
But it kind of evokes like a pear taste in my mouth, like a crisp, fresh pear. Which I really
100% agree.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a clean flavor profile, but pear, just based on the texture of the fruit, there's almost a sandiness when you're eating a pear. Yes. But that gritty sandiness almost has its own flavor, and that's what I get out of this. Is there's a very like terroir, mineral-driven aspect of this wine that 100% agree is like, you know, a fresh pear.
Yeah.
My favorite singular Thanksgiving wine. And I say singular because it's hard for me. Like we never have one bottle on the table during Thanksgiving. To me, if I had to pick one, if this was my desert island Thanksgiving wine, I would go with Pinot Noir. I love it because, again, I like the acid, the lean, the focus. To me, it cuts the turkey, but it also pairs better with the ham. And, obviously I'm partners with Chef Charlie Palmer on this. I think Pinot is the wine of choice. And having, more body. I mean, look, it has tannin, it has anthocyanin, it's got more structure. That allows it to go with things like stuffing, especially if you have a sausage-based stuffing. I mean, that's kind of the fun of Thanksgiving is everyone has their different, recipes.
I'm a green bean casserole.
You're agree? Okay, so there you go.
That's my dish.
And I think that this just, it's so dynamic with and this one specifically, so this is the Sonoma Coast Pinot Noir. We make 2 different Pinots under normal circumstances, and when the conditions are absolutely perfect, we will make a reserve Pinot Noir that we call the Duelist. But when I think about Thanksgiving, it's the Sonoma Coast, because Sonoma Coast, a little higher in acid, a little bit actually lower in body, but our Russian River Pinot sometimes can be too big in a phenolic standpoint that it kind of overwhelms, again, that white meat, that light flavor profile of turkey. So I like the Sonoma Coast, and when you're thinking about at home, cooler climate Pinot Noirs would be something that in general, we hope you use ours, but
get the 3-pack.
Get the 3-pack, but cooler climate Pinots are what I think of with that singular wine for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this wine is in a perfect place right now, but there's like this just really wonderful savoriness about it, and you're actually starting to see some of the spice of the varietal come through. So I get like this amazing baking spice, almost like a spiced plum, and that's that evolution of that flavor profile. And the tannins, I mean, it's Pinot Noir, it's never going to have a lot of tannin, but there's just this silky nature on the palate, yet unbelievable acid on the finish.
3 packs right here. We've got the Rosé, Chardonnay, and the Pinot Noir. Trust us, they're amazing. They're going to pair perfectly with whatever you're having for Thanksgiving. And if you do want to go with the beef or whatever, contact the winery here. They might be able to substitute something out. There might be a change in the price, but it's possible, right? And they've been really great about that. And if you see something else on their wine menu, they may be able to mix and match for you, which is super fun too.
100% willing to do that, but I promise you, if you put these 3 bottles on your Thanksgiving table, you are going to be a rock star. You're going to have a very happy friends and family.
Now, I would be remiss if I did not talk about Movember. And a lot of people, when they hear the word Movember, think, why are you pronouncing November with an M? Because the charity is called Movember with an M. The rest is Ovember, right? So Movember. And this is the world's leading international charity for men's mental and physical health. Men typically don't want to talk about that stuff, right? So this charity wants to open up the conversation, because if you're a man and you have a prostate, at some point in your life, you will probably, unfortunately, get prostate cancer. So this charity is doing research now how to prevent prostate testicular cancer, and what goes along with that is the mental health and suicide prevention. Movember 3, 6, 12 packs, but give you the entire month and the opportunity all the way through November 30th. They're honoring this. If you mention Movember or use the Movember link, they will automatically donate 20%, which is wonderful. So, Clay, thank you for supporting such an amazing cause.
It is our pleasure, and obviously I believe strongly in the cause. I'm a huge proponent of prevention.
That's it. Go get a PSA, gents. It's very easy. Hey, everybody, thank you for watching this special Movember Thanksgiving edition of Just the Sip. Happy holidays to you. Join us in Mauritson Wine and in supporting Movember. Get your 3, 6, 12, 24 pack. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you all for having me.
Cheers. Our pleasure.